Welcome everybody for coming here today to Majestic Park in beautiful Bridgeport. You know, life isn't always perfect. We have a little rain right now. Life isn't always perfect. Rain can come in the form of Alzheimer's or cancer. Whatever hardship may afflict us in life, we just got to go with it. We got to be cool, learn to relax, and just go with it. And that's what we're doing right now on this rainy day. The rain may be coming down, but we know the sunshine is out in heaven. Can I hear an amen?
Amen.
My mother, born Patsy Farrell, later became Patsy Recchia, was the most important figure in my life, and incredibly funny person with a bright, incisive mind. And she had these little witticisms, things that she would say. To me, they always seemed like polished gems that somebody wrote, but they would just come right out of her head. And from time to time, Senator Blumenthal would hear these wonderful, funny things that she said, and because he would call to check on her, sometimes every day, sometimes twice a day when she was in the hospital. Sometimes she was in the hospital for a month at a time, and Senator Blumenthal, of his own initiative, would call. He would speak with the doctors. We had him listed there so he could do that, and he would check and make sure my mother was getting the best care. And for that, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for being such a good friend to me and my family. And what I'd like to do now is just share a few of some of the funny things that my mother would say to me. I used to write them down. First, I can tell you that heartbreak, like the rainfall, is part of the journey. But I've always believed that our trials have purpose. That's what my mother's life and her death taught me. Patsy Recchia was smart and had heart. She warmed the world with her loving glow. I remember when I was 25 years old, I had a beautiful condominium. I was working in a major market, great network job. And she came to see me in South Florida. And when we got back home that night, she came and she visited the studio. She said, "You're doing great." She said, "You're doing great, but Frankie, you're getting a little big for your britches. Your head's getting a little big." And I said, no, Mommy, I'm a television reporter, and I've always believed that God is watching me. And she said, "I'm glad God's watching you because nobody else is." Now, I personally have never been a drinker. In my whole life, I probably had a thimble full of alcohol. But I can't say the same for my mother. She loved her apricot brandy. And, you know, she asked me one time, and I wrote it down, "Can you drink when you die?" And I said, "Mommy, you can drink when you die, and you're going to drink heaven dry." Loved her apricot brandy. It was part of the whole atmosphere. When you come into the house, she had her little glass of apricot brandy. Never drank a lot, but it was just always right there by her side. Her gentle humor. I remember telling her once I was hoping for a better outcome in life, and she said, "Kid, that's nothing. I was hoping for a better income in life." And her message was, appreciate what you have. And she was always on the go. Always on the go. My mother could never sit still. And I remember when I was a little kid, you know, on the weekends, you want to sleep in a little bit, maybe, when you're in 6th grade. Well, every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, you'd hear the rapping on the door. You had to go out and do this, do that, paint the house, whatever it was. She always had us on the go. And, you know, it drove us crazy. But then when I grew up and I started to understand why these old grown-up people, why were they on the go all the time? And I realized that, you know, we only have so much time on this earth, and it's important to accomplish something. And my mother was constantly going, and even at the end with her Alzheimer's, she could never sit still. And I used to joke with her that the only place appropriate to inter her ashes was in the nose cone of a 747 because she was constantly taking off and landing, taking off and landing. And she said that she wanted to leave towards the end of her life. She kept saying to me, Frankie, I want to go now. I'm done. I want to go. I'm done. And it used to break my heart. But I told her it's okay. You can go. And it does bring me some solace knowing that that she was finally able to reach her destination. And her wisdom was amazing. She once pointed out to me that, okay, you fell down, Frankie, but you got back up again. She said, look at the big picture. Some people never rise high enough to fall. You're lucky. She was filled with that wisdom. And we saw a guy on the news once, I'll never forget this one, and he won the lottery, and he said, I could never spend this money in 10 lifetimes. And she said, I'll bet his wife could spend it in 10 minutes. And I would write these down. Her jokes were so funny. And she got a note once from a friend who had spent her honeymoon in Fiji and then Cork, Ireland, warm and cold. So this friend bragged to my mother that she just got remarried. She spent her honeymoon in Fiji and then Cork, Ireland. And my mother said, that's nothing. I spent my honeymoon in Lexington, Kentucky at the Gold Leaf Motor Inn. And when I said, Mommy, you gave me my good looks, she said, give them back. I'm starting to need them. Or when we walked into a relative's house who collected Hummels, I'm not going to identify the relative, heaven forbid. We walked into a relative's house in another state who collected Hummels, and I was like 9 or 10 years old, and my mother said, I didn't write this one down, it just stuck in my head. My mother said, these are nice little figurines you have everywhere, everywhere. From floor to ceiling, this house was packed with Hummels. So, she turned to this relative and she said, I hate to tell you this, but I'm afraid you've crossed the border from collector to hoarder.
They always did.
And she taught me some amazing lessons. A couple of years ago, she said, I've been dodging death for decades, but it's coming for me soon. And I remember looking into her eyes. Her face looked just like mine. That's why there was this unique connection, because our hands were the same. That picture I put on Facebook, our hands together, you can see they're identical. And the caption I put was, this hand is your hand, this hand is my hand. And I always feel the consolation that my mother hasn't gone anywhere. She's right here inside of me. Her blood flows through my veins. Her thoughts are still coming to me. Her comic timing I may not have gotten, but she is still here, very much present. She taught me the most amazing lessons in the world. When I asked her at the age of 10 what I should be doing in life, she said, you should be, Frankie, you should be the help people any way you can man. And that stuck in my head. Be the help people any way you can man. And I became determined to help people in life. And that's her living legacy in me. And, she would drive other relatives crazy because we'd be driving and she'd say, pull over. And the other person would say, well, this is not the greatest area in the world. She'd say, no, pull over. And then she'd run out and she'd run back. And I remember on one occasion, it was a homeless guy who was sitting there. And the other people in the car started yelling, are you crazy? Why are you talking to that homeless guy? And she turned and said, because he's not invisible. And that was an admonition that I never forgot. That this man was not invisible. And she taught me by example, always teaching by example, that nobody should be invisible. And then she gave the guy $20 and listened to his story. And so it was natural for me to fall into these patterns and to be a giving person who wanted to affect change in life. All of that is a living tribute to my mother. And her many acts of generosity and grace have made this world a better place. Her wisdom was a roadmap laid out in front of me. I've been following it for many years now, plotting the journey with the simple lessons she taught me, by example, always. It's raining, guys. We're all getting wet. So let me wrap this up. I so appreciate each and every one of you coming out here. These aren't just people gathered together on a rainy day. I have a connection. Thank you. I love you more. I have a connection with each and every one of you who's here. Every one of you knows the conversations you've had with me, the trials that I've gone through. Every one of you knows the struggles I've tried to help you with. Whatever I've ever tried to do, it has come from the heart, and it has all been a tribute to Patsy Recchia. I celebrate her spirit here on this rainy day in the city. This is actually, I know this sounds crazy, this is perfect. She was absolutely right at home on a rainy day in the city. And my good friend Patty Newton always has this little saying, you bring the grit and I'll bring the glitter. And that says so much, because life is made up of those two components. There's grit and there's glitter. You know, there's the hard stuff that makes us learn and act and pushes us forward to make the world a better place for the next generation. But then there's the flashy stuff. And sometimes, my mother always tried to teach me this, the flash does not last. You know, she used to tell me, she would see, my mother couldn't stand, she didn't like other women in her circle, in her territory. She loved men. She didn't like other women being around. It made it very hard to get caregivers, because they'd walk in the door and she'd start screaming at them at the top of her lungs, you know, get out of my house, what are you doing here? And she lost her filter at the end, and she used to swing her arms, and she was never like that before she got sick. But we make great accommodations for people at the end of their life. I hope somebody makes those accommodations for me. But thank you so much. But let me tell you something, I love each and every one of you. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much. From the heart. Everything I do is from the heart. It's not about money. It's not about flash. It's from the heart. I always want to feel that if I drop dead today, that can happen. It happened to my brother. It happened to Teresa Zangrilli. God rest her soul. None of us is guaranteed tomorrow. So I urge all of you, in the spirit of my mother, Patsy Recchia, please rise up when you leave here and love somebody. Put the hate down. Enough hate. The days of hate are over. They're behind us. The sun is rising. Life is beautiful. Forget the rain. It's wet, but it'll dry up and go away, okay? This is nothing. This is just nature's passing fancy. Forget about it. All of us were healthy. We're standing here today. All of you, I can't thank you enough for loving me enough to come out in this nasty weather and to show your respect to me. It means so much. I love you too. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. So to everybody, I would just like to take a moment to let a few people, a few of my close friends, say a couple of words, and thank you for indulging us. We'll make this quick. Senator Richard Blumenthal.
I'm going to vouch that we are all physically distanced, right? And the rain is a cure for COVID. I look at this crowd and I see so much history going back years and years, so many different stories, church stories, public service stories, brought to us by News 12 and Frank. Thank you to all of you for being here. You are linked together. We are linked together today by a great spirit. And the old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words, that spirit is in front of you in this picture, in that smile. Frank is right. I had a lot of conversations with Patsy Recchia. Toward the end of her life, most of them were FaceTime. And what will always stay with me is that smile. The smile and the wit and the passion. Patsy was the original driver of the Straight Talk Express. There was no beating around the bush, no niceties, particularly about certain leaders of the free world. From time to time when we talk politics, she inspired me. I know we use that saying a lot, but truly her grit and guts and strength and her passion inspired me. The story about her seeing that homeless person, you are not invisible. You are not invisible. That's what we need to remember about every human being on the planet. Every human being on the planet. And that's what we should take away from this great life. And something else. Patsy Recchia's story is the story about her, but also about the incredible devotion of a wonderful son who gave of himself unstintingly. I have never said this to Frank, but as I look back, I wish I had been the son that Frank Recchia was to his mom. And we can all be better. We can all be better sons and daughters, moms and dads, if we realize the lesson of his life and hers, that devotion has a value beyond any measure. It is beyond the measure of things that we regard as tangible. It is more meaningful than any kind of physical possession. That love and devotion and dedication make us human beings. They make us good human beings. So I want to thank Frank for his model as a son and as a human being. You will always remember this day, I guarantee it. You'll dry out very quickly, but you will always remember this day, mainly because of what Frank has said on this day I thank every one of you for being here today. God bless you. God bless the wonderful spirit of Frank and Patsy Recchia. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We'll wrap this up in just a moment, and to everybody, I wish there are like half a dozen people here that I would love to have come and speak. Let's just very quickly, let's say 3 more people speak so we can all get in our cars and get on with our day. Charles Fuller, who brought me to national fame on the NFL Network and the Super Bowl pregame show. Charles, I've been working all my life on television, but it took you and our story to get me on the national news with Jerry Rice, and I want to thank you for that amazing moment.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I want to thank you guys for coming here today. We're all here to celebrate a great woman, Patsy Recchia. Let me tell you a funny story. You know, when I was homeless, you know, I was leaving, and what people don't realize, there was a U-Haul truck. Frank was in that U-Haul truck alongside his mother, and his mother gave me $20. And that always stuck with me. To be around Patsy Recchia, I told Frank, and I'll tell everybody that she's like a second mom to me. She's like a second mom, and it really, I feel like, you know, she lives inside Frank's heart, and you can't help but get moved by her spirit. But when Frank always told me that she wants to talk to me on the phone, I felt honored, and to be around her, you know, she was just a wonderful, loving person. And what I want everybody to take over here is her spirit. She might be up in heaven, but I'll tell you, but her spirit is still going to be around. I told Frank, I said, you know what? My mom, I said, you don't have to worry about it. You know, you took care of her. There's the beginning and there's the end. In the end, she went to home to be with God. She's in where my mom is. They're up in heaven partying because they raised it us. And it's their humor that you can't forget. Both drinkers. My mother was like Frank's mom, you know. You could be nice to her, but let me tell you, if you said one bad thing, she was gonna let you know about it. Not in front of you, but she told me about it. I'm like, okay, Mom, I understand. They both had a lot in common, but you know, I just want to say, you people, thank you for coming out. And I'll tell you, son, Patsy Recchia, Frank, she's always gonna be with you, man. Always.
Thank you so much. So 2 more people.
Wow. I had the honor and pleasure of meeting Frank Recchia 9 years ago. And Frank is one of my dearest friends. And I can say that and mean that from the bottom of my heart. Frank and Mama took road trips. Come visit me. We danced. We hung out. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lady. And I'm just thankful to be a part of Frank's life and her life as well. Like he said, it's raining out here. I just want to say thank you to everyone that came out to show the true love and respect for Mr. Recchia and his mom and his family as well. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, we all want to leave. Anybody else want to talk? Is there anybody who wants to say a few words? One last person.
It's good to see all of you here, the great crowd of witnesses. You know, I was listening and I heard them say that Patsy enjoyed a good drink. But one of the first miracles that Jesus performed was he turned water into wine and he kept the party going. So that's exciting. But you know, in life, we all go through challenges, we go through disappointments. Sometimes our bodies fail us and we get sick. But we know that our lives are important to God. That to be absent from the body is to be present with the Almighty God. And we know that weeping may endure for a night, but that joy comes in the morning. And so though we may be sad right now, our heads may be bowed, tears may be flowing from your eyes for this great loss, it's a win for heaven. You know, when we're born with a birth certificate. And when we die with a death certificate. But what really matters the most is what we do in between the dash of our life. Patsy was a woman that cared deeply for her family, for her children, for the community, and you can hear the love that she had for humanity. And I believe that Frank Recchia was the best son that he could be to his mother. The Bible says, raise up a child in the way they shall go, so that when they get old, they won't depart from it. So Frank, today, your mother is happy. She's smiling down from heaven. And on that day that God called her home, she got up on the wings of ecstasy, and God said to her, well done, Patsy. You've been faithful over a few things. Now it's time that I make you ruler over many. So sleep on, take your rest. We love you, but God loves you best. May God bless and keep each and every one of you, and may your light continue to shine before men and women, that they may see your good work and glorify the Father which is in heaven. God bless.
I'll be brief in the rain, but Frank, to you and to your family, Heidi has the citations. I'll be even briefer and give it to her. I just want to say, certainly our sympathies and our condolences, but above all that, our thanks. Our thanks to your mom for all that she did and as a mother and in giving us you. You've been a bond to people. Everyone in here has been touched by your generosity and your commitment. You seem to seek out people in need and then figure out a way to address that need or get someone else to do it. Above and beyond, I think all of us in office and in positions, Frank, you've been an example of God's work and your mother's work. If she's looking down, as I know she is, she continues to be proud of you. And I say to her, because of you and your family, a job well done, Patsy. Thank you for blessing us with your life and with Frank. And Frank will be here for us for many, many years to continue to help. Heidi, I'm going to give it to you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. To Frank and family and friends, I have a council citation, but I want to begin to say that, Frank, I always believe that strong mothers raise strong sons, so we know that you're going to continue to fight for what is right for the people in our community and share in her spirit and move that forward. So God bless you and your family on this time. Bridgeport City Council, official citation. In sympathy, be it hereby known to all that the Bridgeport City Council honors the life of a warm and loving person who will be missed greatly by all, Patsy Ann Recchia. The Bridgeport City Council hereby expresses its deepest sympathies to her and her family and friends. The Council's thoughts and prayers are with you each and every day as you heal from your loss. Given this day, November 1st, 2020, by myself, Heidi Young's Council President, and members of the City Council who we have here with us today. We have George Cruz, Ernest Newton, Michelle Lyons, and Councilwoman Mary Yvette Brantley. And on behalf of the Council, we'd like to give you the citation. Thank you so much. And I think we have one more on behalf of, we have one more for State Representative Chris Rosario.
Good afternoon. I'm going to be very brief. I just want to say thank you to Frank. Many people don't know, but I too, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she's 8 years into her battle of the long goodbye. And every time that I've felt down and felt like I wasn't doing enough, it was Frank Recchia that picked my spirits up. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I wish I'm half the son that you are. And every time that, as I mentioned before, when I felt down, you picked me up privately. Nobody knew this. And I just want to say thank you. I have a small token on behalf of the delegation. I'm going to have my colleague, State Senator Dennis Bradley, say a few words, and we'll read the proclamation.
Echoing those same sentiments, Frank. What an incredible example of a son you have been. What an incredible example of love and action you have been, and echoing that spirit that your mother has ingrained in you. And that seed that you've allowed all of us to see grow into this full blossom of a beautiful tree has been an inspiration for this entire community. Thank you so much for being a friend to all of us. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thank everyone for coming out. Just want to say to you, Frank, thank you so much for allowing me and my company to take care of Mrs. Patsy. She was a riot. Trust me. Frank, you are the best son in the world. God bless you and God bless your mom.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for indulging us this long. Everybody stayed. Nobody sneaked out. I'm so impressed. Thank you. I love you. Let's carry on in mommy spirit. Thank you.